Alright, how's it going, my magnificent sons of bitches? And I've decided I was going to come back and do another one of these electoral prediction maps for you. It's ultimately going to be the same, but I just wanted to go ahead and get something up. Post whatever the fuck this was. Mind you, I'm not voting, so I don't have a dog in the fight whenever the, leftists are trying to sit there, or the Democrats for the most part. It seems like they're working on the same page more than they're not. Are trying to shoehorn in Gavin Newsom. Well, it looks like they're going to try and make up excuses and whatnot of why they stole the election from you in 2020, and that the country legitimately has rejected a lot of these socialist, bizarre ass, commie ideas from a lot of these people that are, taught the shit in these universities and stuff. They consider themselves pragmatists. They're not at all, and like the country for since the fucking 70s has rejected these ideas. Well, now we're coming on to where, like, okay, you have three candidates. On one hand, they're trying to justify how they were allowed to rig an election in 2020. That's why Robert F. Kennedy has entered the conversation, because in reality, with the shit that they've pulled, the federal government has pulled, technically, that's treasonous. You know what I'm saying? So it isn't like, the platform for the left has been dying off since the 70s. If you don't believe me, go back and check and look up the elections. Go back and look up the real true numbers. They haven't had a majority of the vote until Obama for the past 40 years. And the country was kind of going into the right direction. It was trending in the right direction from the 70s into the 80s and into the 90s and into the 2000s. But all of a sudden, we get to the 2000s, everything stops and starts going back into fucking reverse. They start going back onto the platforms that effectively lost them these, the majority in the, 70s. They went back to those platforms, which is a high war platform, high taxation platform, strong centralized government. And for the most part, those platforms don't work. So what we have in this election, right? What we have in this election, these are the two platforms, as far as the voters go. I'm not talking about the candidates. The candidates, for all extensive purposes, look like a couple of fucking, Alzheimer dementia fucking patients on both sides. Neither looked really that good in the debate whatsoever. Whenever Trump is trying to throw shade at Joe Biden about mandates and stimulus checks and shit like that, it'd be different if you didn't put your name on all of them. You know what I'm saying? Then you could legitimately go ahead and say, you know what? It was the 116th Congress. They're the ones that did all the stimulus. They're the ones that pushed for the shutdowns. They were the ones to push for the mandates. And totally leave it at the fucking altar of the fucking Democrat Party. However, you didn't. You went ahead and said, oh, we need to go ahead and pass red flag laws. So, this is where we're at right now. Two big fucking placebos running against each other. It doesn't mean that one placebo is better than the other. However, I'm going over which placebo is going to end up winning and by what margin. Now, as I've said before, and I've said it again, in 2020, it looked like Trump accumulated about 25% of the population. We can tell this. It was more about 23%, if I'm being intellectually honest. Just a little bit lazy and just rounded it up to 25, but it's about 23, 25%, somewhere in that area, give or take a few, with the 74 million votes that he got. Okay, I could see that. You know what I'm saying? You can't see the shit for Biden. You can't see all the support for Biden. However, if you go on the internet, whether it's Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, whatever platform that was organic at the time, and you went back and you looked, you could see that 25% of the country was firmly behind Donald Trump at that point in time. And whenever they came out in 2016, where they were trying to rig it and say that Hillary Clinton won the popular vote, I don't know one Democrat that voted for Hillary. I don't know one at all. And I still never have talked to one that actually went out and voted for Hillary. So that should have been a mandate. 2016 was the state needs to get their shit together, and we need to start having people who are going to have solutions, not creating more problems. However, they doubled down on this with the Joe Biden. You can't find me 81 million Joe Biden voters. I'm going to tell you that right now. You can sit there and say, oh, well, you can't find me 74 million Trump voters, but I can see the metrics on the internet and say, you know what? This makes sense. It's a little bit closer to that 99 million that, say, Trump had on Twitter. Then you're going to be able to find me 81 million support of Joe Biden anywhere. So this is how we kind of figure out, not to mention all the corruption going on election night, where they're just going ahead and putting out an Inflation Reduction Act that is ultimately going to come back and bite anybody who's a leftist in the ass. Judgment is coming, and for me, whatever, it doesn't matter to me. I'm not, like I said, I'm not voting, but with that being said, I already know that the judgment that's going to come is not unwarranted. You know what I'm saying? So what's the point of me going out and making these videos and whatnot? I do it for posterity purposes. That's why I do it. I'm just pointing out the stuff that's going to come to pass because of the actions that you've taken before, and you cannot claim ignorance because, there yet again, I put videos out for posterity purposes. Not only me, but several other motherfuckers have come out here and told them the same fucking thing. You need to go ahead, start fixing these problems, stop trying to go ahead and steal and leech, and and that's what we've got in, a bunch of leeches right now that just leech off the fucking tax dole, and this is why our economy is in shambles. So when we look at for the voters' perspective, when we look at the Republicans, they're running on strong borders, they're looking on anti-interventionalists, not getting involved in foreign wars anymore. They're anti-interventionalists. They're looking at having some sort of moral standards brought back to this country, and a more stable, balanced economy, more physical responsibility in our economy. And on the left, it's just killing babies. That's their entire platform. Abortion is the entire platform for the left. They claim that it's a woman's right to choose, but they didn't. They went ahead and denied that right to millions and millions and millions of Americans. So your arguments have no more validity to them. It's killing babies. That's it. That's your argument. It's killing babies. I don't want to hear about a woman's right to choose, because we know that you don't essentially believe in that when you're going to go ahead and try to mandate and enforce a vaccine, which you cucks still go out there in the State Department and do to this very fucking day. So, we come across this debate. Was Trump lying? Yes, he was definitely lying. Did Trump thoroughly handle Joe Biden? Because Joe Biden's lying too. Don't get me wrong. Joe Biden's a Catholic. He has no fucking use for abortion except for a wedge issue. Neither does the Democrats. Most of them are Catholic. They have no use for abortion. They're against abortion. They have no use for abortion other than using it as a platform, because what are they going to run on? Is it going to be on diplomatic issues? Well, you're trying to get us into a war with Russia. You're trying to go ahead and get into a Palestinian-Israel conflict. You're trying to instigate World War III right now through the lunacy of your legacy media. You can't run on diplomacy. You go ahead and look at our domestic issues and whatnot. Now, I don't know how much truth, how much is embellishment, but you go ahead and leave our borders wide open. You know what I'm saying? You're going ahead and giving these government subsidies to various people who probably don't belong here, attacking our U.S. dole. You cannot run on the domestic policies neither. You go ahead and look at these institutions and the product coming out of these social programs, and they're also not working. We can go ahead and take a look at that Affordable Health Care Act that ended up affecting 193 million Americans to go ahead and subsidize some 22 million Americans. Well, that was a failure as well. So none of your economical policies, you don't have any policies that you can legitimately run on. Your areas are high crime. We know you can't really manage and govern yourselves, much less anybody else, a country, city, state, whatever. And that's just your platform. You know what I'm saying? So when we look at the voters, it's hard for me to go ahead and give any kind of real respect. Now, I can have a debate back and forth with the Republican voters because they have a little bit more of a rational position. It's impossible to have a debate with a Democrat because it's all opinion, it's all conjecture, it's their all personal fucking issues, their personal fucking causes and shit, rebels without a cause, and all kinds of ridiculous, stupid shit like that. That is not going to be productive, and there's no need for me to go ahead and listen to any of their yammering or whining because it's going to be anti-productive. It's much like the position that I take with atheists. Having a conversation with an atheist is anti-productive because they're just going to keep asking the same stupid questions over and over. And, you know, the wheel may be spinning, but the fucking hamster's dead. That's kind of like what we're looking at with these secular people that rely totally on government dole, your tax dollars and my tax dollars. So with that being said, I wanted to go ahead and get into this election map and see exactly where the country's going. Now I'm starting off, this is where the general consensus, all the propagandists had the general election results for this point in time. As far as, they're basically the shit that they had set up before the debate. But as I said, we have still, we're 1/5 the way through the inflation. We're only 1/5 of the way through the inflation with all their economical packages, with all their stimulus packages. It's only 1/5 of what we owe. So we've only ever seen 1/5 of that inflation. With that being said, we come on to today, and we still haven't seen the entire effects of that Inflation Reduction Act, which is a pretty fucking stupid bill. So, whenever all those businesses start to shut down because of arbitrary taxes by the State Department, by the federal government, by all these people in D.C., combined with the tax cuts going away for these businesses to create jobs, when your job is affected and you can't go out there and buy your fucking Pretendo game, you're going to be pissed, you're going to want action, you're going to want change. And 9 times out of 10, this is how you get like some sort of event that happened at the Bastille in French during the French Revolution. I'm not saying that this is going to happen. I'm just saying it's not too far away from possibly happening. So, as I look at this map, this map makes it look very competitive. And a lot of the YouTube channels, like I said here, really haven't seen any real landslides. They claim that Obama's was a landslide, but it wasn't. So, I'm going to go ahead and say that this is probably going to turn red. Minnesota, all the ones that are red, I'm not even touching. I'm not even fucking with, because why would I? There's no way that Donald Trump has lost any states. There's no way that the Republicans have lost any states. They, right now, they have had little to effect on this country, mainly because the Washington, D.C., go back and look up every fucking election. The Democrats win by like fucking an astounding 80%. This shows you that they're social nationalists. They're the fascists that they claim everybody else to fucking be. They're the fucking fascists. And whenever the tyranny, a country's tyranny becomes subordinate, then the fucking tyrants are always in fucking trouble. So we can go ahead, and I'm going to go ahead and move these, to the lean, because I believe that they're likely going to end up swinging on the left coast. And you're going to know if this is true, if I can get this map to move up, you're going to know this is going to be true if New York flips. If New York flips, then it's over. It only takes one state to understand how bad this election is going to be. You go back to the 80s, you go back into the 90s, and this was common. This was common. This was common. Nobody was voting for the fucking Democrats. The only time the Democrats really got competitive, because if you go back and look at that the first Clinton run against George Bush, Clinton loses 412 to like 100 and, I think 15 or something like that. He loses similar to the way that Dukakis did. If fucking Ross Perot doesn't run, that's actually the that would be the 5th landslide victory if Ross Perot isn't in there in 6 election cycles, if Ross Perot doesn't run. So we're going to go ahead and move the whole thing to blue. We're going to end up turning Illinois, all these right here, there's no fucking way that the Democrats have any business winning anything right now because they don't have a fucking platform. If they had a platform, if there was something going on, then they could probably win with this. All they have is fake news. Nobody listens to the media anymore. Nobody listens to the media anymore. I'm going to go ahead and turn Vermont, New Hampshire. I'm going to go ahead Massachusetts, Rhode Island, Connecticut, New Jersey. I'll leave Delaware blue because that is Biden's home state, and generally a home state, in theory, votes for their candidate. You know what I'm saying? They vote for their guy. Oh, DC will also remain blue. DC will never change. DC is the centralized authority, and the government will never vote against their own interest. However, with that being said, Hawaii will change. And this is what I have going on right now. That's 532 to 6 that I have. The Republicans will take back the House. They will take back the Senate. I'm not worried about they already have the Senate, but they're going to take it by a bigger margin. And then they're going to own the and like I said, at the end of the day, this is judgment. The left, those in academia, those working for the state, should have been a little bit more amicable about their positions, a little bit more flexible, because America has told them, the citizens have told them, and it's all at our expense. They get rich off of your expense, basically. All these people that will go out there that are secular atheists, pushing the fucking gender nonconformist ideology, LGBTQ, BLM bullshit, causing all this division, say they're doing it for your best interest, but they're not. You've created more homophobia, not less. You've created more racism, not less. You've actually went back and you've broken this country up, and you've became basically, ultimately, one of the biggest fucking parasites to this country. The Democrat Party has as a fucking whole. So, with that being said, this is what I have going on right now for the presidential election. It's not even going to be close. The Republicans are going to win, and they're going to win in a landslide, 532 to 6 victory. That's what it's going to be. It's going to be it's going to be a blowout. It's going to be an annihilation. It's probably going to be the death of the Democrat Party. And I'm not sitting there saying that because whenever I look at the Republican side of everything, they're going to be just as tyrannical. They're going to be just as corrupt. They're going to push a lot of theocracy legislation into this country. It's going to be more of a theocracy. They're going to go in that general direction. You may never see the Democrats win another election again. That may be a thing of the past. For that particular party, I'm not sitting there saying that there can't be another party that comes up and rivals the Republicans. I'm just saying that the Democrat Party as a brand is probably ultimately dead. Because they've just never allowed themselves to reform. They've never allowed themselves to change. The Republicans, on the other hand, did reform. They did change. They went out and got rid of a lot of the old establishment. Whether these people operate like the old establishment, or whether, guys like Paul Ryan and Ted Cruz and, a lot of these kind of like new libertarian Republican types really have kind of reformed that party. We hear legislation of like Project 2025, Agenda 47, and stuff like that. Well, the reason why they're going to be so successful at pushing this, and the reason why they're going to go ahead and be successful of getting this stuff implemented, is because we haven't had any moral in this country. They've taken away the morality in this country, and people are kind of getting tired of these people high-roading, essentially, pretending to be intellectuals, forcing their ideologies, their views, their positions on the rest of society, whether it's in the classroom, these institutions, or whatnot, and people are just getting tired of it. So, that's probably going to be it. You're probably looking at the death throes of the Democratic Party. And, you know, like I said, with the democracy shifting so radically in the 80s and going that right direction of Republicans coming out pushing policies that effectively turned the economy back over to the people, that would, you know, essentially grow in the 80s, the 90s, and into the 2000s, for the Democrats to come back and implement social programs and take more government control of it to go ahead and get us where we're at right now, at the force of rigging fucking elections. Well, at, you know, this point in time, you've caused so much damage, you've caused so much conflicts that we're probably looking at potentially having military tribunals for these individuals who've decided that they were going to go ahead and push this, because you pushed it at the against the will of the majority of the people, and used the propaganda. You can't use, you know, these sources like that. You can't sit there, you control the source of information, and then people end up suffering for it. Well, you know, just like it says in the Bible, he who leads into captivity must be led into captivity, and that's exactly what's going to end up essentially happening after this election, I see. So anyways, you people, tell me what you think. You like, sub, friend, follow, do the shit the internet tells me to do to get over. And for now, I'm out.